In a world where life was fragile and the future uncertain, survival during the Middle Ages relied heavily on metal, such as forged iron, which was strong yet flexible. People worked the fields with rough hands under skies filled with rain or the threat of war. Despite the hardships, they sang while they worked, their laughter cutting through the noise of grinding stones, a song of defiance. Communities thrived on sharing bread and burdens, with candles offering warmth even in the coldest of times. Diseases spread quietly through villages, instilling fear, but faith and laughter provided solace. Every person had a story of resilience and survival hidden beneath their woolen cloaks. Enter the forgotten world of the Middle Ages, where each day was a battle that shaped the enduring spirit of humanity. Picture a time when survival meant more than just strength. It required resilience, adaptability, and an unwavering will to keep going. Life wore a tough exterior in this era, but underneath lay a determination that showed the remarkable ability to thrive despite challenges. Children in the Middle Ages were introduced to the harsh realities of life early on. From a young age, they joined their families in working the fields, learning essential skills under the open sky. Instead of a carefree youth, they absorbed knowledge through labor, becoming vital contributors to their family's survival. Work was not just a chore for them. It was a form of education that blurred the lines between play and responsibility, shaping their communities. Women in the Middle Ages faced the daunting task of childbirth, a perilous event crucial for the continuation of life. Without modern medical advancements, each birth was a risky endeavor, guided by skilled midwives and wise elders. Despite the dangers, women emerged from childbirth with a resilience that inspired admiration, becoming symbols of strength in their communities. Men in the Middle Ages navigated between the roles of warriors and craftsmen. Whether training for battle or honing their craft in times of peace, they embraced discipline and hard work. The clamor of forges and the looming presence of castles defined their landscape, shaping their identities as blacksmiths, farmers, or merchants. Their rough hands and bustling marketplaces painted a vivid picture of a society striving to survive and thrive. In a world where survival was closely linked to skill and community, adaptability became a defining trait. Balancing between warfare and work, individuals were shaped by an era that required unwavering determination. Mental resilience was just as crucial as physical prowess, as unpredictable circumstances instilled a pragmatic understanding of life and death amidst the uncertainties of the time. Superstition often filled the gaps left by science, offering comfort or caution through whispered tales and beliefs. Medieval villages relied on each other for support, creating psychological fortresses in the midst of chaos. Stories and songs provided both escape and a sense of unity in facing challenges together. Folklore and faith intertwined to offer solace like a familiar cloak, strengthening the community's bond. This mental fortitude turned survival into a collective effort, weaving camaraderie into the fabric of society. The constant threat of warfare cast a long shadow over families who had to cope with daily uncertainty. As men went off to battle, communities turned inward for support, fortifying their homes and hearts against the hardships of war. Women took on added responsibilities with unwavering strength, while families banded together to form new alliances and networks of mutual aid. Despite the suffering, this unity allowed them to endure and turn loss into resilience. Memories passed down through generations taught the importance of not just grand battles, but also the struggles of everyday life. Nature played a dual role as both provider and challenger in medieval times. Without modern technology, its fickleness could easily turn abundance into scarcity. Simple homes provided comfort and shelter against the elements, fostering closeness among family members. Farmers closely observed the skies to anticipate changes in weather, relying on their adaptive ingenuity to survive tough times with stored provisions and practical solutions. Their deep connection to the land forged a bond that defied the odds stacked against them. Faith served as a steadfast anchor in the midst of life's turmoil, offering structure and comfort to medieval people. Churches and cathedrals symbolized the enduring power of devotion, providing both spiritual guidance and a sense of community. Whether through rituals or acts of charity, faith instilled courage to face fear and uncertainty with resilience. Medieval justice, deeply ingrained in the era's harshness, was swift and often overseen by lords or community assemblies, seeking a balance based on tradition and social hierarchy. Punishments were severe, reflecting the uncompromising nature of the times. Seen as a divine equilibrium guiding the behavior of society, in these ceremonies, neighbors uphold social standards and emphasize the collective values of the era. Justice was a communal effort where societal balance and survival were closely connected. Moreover, trades and crafts were essential to daily life, interweaving resilience into the fabric of society. Artisans developed their skills within guilds, promoting a sense of belonging and economic stability. The precise craftsmanship offered identity and progression, while collective efforts encouraged innovation. Each handcrafted item symbolized perseverance, serving as a testament to human creativity and the determination to endure. Through these creations, an unyielding spirit perseveres, resonating through the corridors of history as enduring echoes of human resilience. In medieval times, life was intricately woven into the village's fabric, where survival often relied on an individual's role within this closely knit community. Similar to a living organism, every person, from the youngest child scaring birds away from crops to the elders guiding plows, played a crucial role in sustaining life and prosperity. The interconnection of village life was not merely a preference, it was a necessity. The fields were not just tended to by one family, but were a collective effort. In the absence of formal insurance or safety nets, neighbors acted as the primary buffer against life's uncertainties. Social rituals in these communities bound lives together beyond shared work. Events like harvest feasts were not only about sustenance, but also reaffirmed communal bonds and offered moments of joy during difficult times. Even the somber toll of communal bells during emergencies reminded everyone of their shared destiny. Personal grievances had to be set aside for the greater good, knowing that the village's survival depended on collective strength. Land and resources were often communal under the open field system prevalent in Europe. Villagers worked the land together, with each person responsible for a portion of the land, ensuring everyone had a stake in the harvest. This unity in labor meant enduring the challenges of weather together, all hoping for a bountiful yield. Shared facilities like mills, ovens, and pastures lightened the load and nurtured connections. Disputes over resources had to be handled carefully to maintain the delicate balance of harmony. In the absence of formal welfare systems, mutual aid networks developed organically. Families banded together to support each other during difficult times, offering labor, food, or childcare. Weddings, births, and funerals brought communities together, strengthening the societal fabric. This web of interdependence ensured that no one faced adversity alone, strengthening bonds that transcended mere survival. During crises such as poor harvests or disease outbreaks, the village's social network became a crucial support system. Providing a loaf of bread or a helping hand reinforced the community's unity and resilience. Not only did people engage in acts of charity, but they also invested in social capital by building relationships that provided support and stability during challenging times. In urban areas, guilds and brotherhoods offered a unique sense of community for craftsmen. These trade-based groups not only offered support and protection, but also regulated training, safeguarded trade secrets, and provided assistance in times of need, fostering a common purpose. Additionally, guilds were active in organizing festivals and charitable initiatives, such as funding infrastructure projects or supporting local welfare, solidifying their role as essential contributors to city life. Within these networks, personal and professional lives intertwined seamlessly, promoting mutual support and societal responsibility. Medieval life was characterized by seasonal festivals that combined pagan traditions with the Christian calendar. These celebrations, like harvest festivals, celebrated collective labor and provided a sense of unity and purpose. Festivals often served as occasions for marriages, strengthening alliances crucial for village stability. They also offered a platform for resolving disputes in a festive atmosphere, allowing communities to address grievances and foster harmony. Despite the challenges of daily life, these festive moments provided opportunities to embrace unity and resilience in the face of adversity. The church played a central role in medieval society, serving not only as a spiritual sanctuary, but also as the heart of the community. It acted as a gathering place for individuals from all walks of life, shaping village life through regular services and events. The church's bells marked the passage of time and important occasions, becoming ingrained in the daily rhythm of existence. Furthermore, the church functioned as a social safety net, offering charity, education, and support during times of crisis. The clergy served as counselors and mediators, blending spiritual guidance with practical wisdom, making the church indispensable for both survival and social cohesion. Conflicts within communities occasionally arose, but often led to stronger bonds when resolved through compromise and cooperation. External threats, such as invasions or feudal obligations, necessitated unified efforts, whether in warfare or in building defenses. Successfully navigating these crises spurred reforms and innovations, highlighting the importance of unity in facing unpredictable challenges. Knowledge was primarily transmitted orally through storytelling, serving not only as entertainment, but also as a means of passing down wisdom and moral lessons across generations. Monks and scribes played a crucial role in preserving written knowledge and promoting literacy, fostering intellectual growth within communities. Marriages were often strategic alliances aimed at building connections and ensuring societal stability. During festivals, these unions solidified social networks by pooling resources and ensuring lineage continuity, strengthening the community tapestry. Kinship networks extended beyond immediate family, providing crucial support, especially in hard times. They were foundational to village resilience, offering collective security that individual means could not provide. Medieval communities leaned on these close bonds under the shadow of constant external threats, whether from bandit raids or nature's wrath. Communal efforts in defense and resource management were vital during sieges or raids, with everyone, farmers, craftsmen, and leaders, playing roles in defense. After devastation, communities rebuilt stronger, reshaping their approach to survival through lessons from adversity. In the medieval society, communal strength pulsed, where unity was not just advantageous but essential. Through shared trials and triumphs, these bonds were the threads that held the tapestry of life against the ceaseless winds of fortune. In the medieval world, the phrase daily bread held deeper significance than a metaphor. Diets primarily revolved around grains, with bread serving as the cornerstone of both peasant and noble tables. Barley, oats, rye, and wheat defined daily existence, and baking occurred based on availability and season. Bread was not just an accompaniment, but the essence of sustenance, typically dense and chewy compared to contemporary loaves. Women undertook the laborious task of crafting these essential morsels, transforming raw grain into nourishment through grinding and fermenting. Peasants typically consumed dense, dark bread made from coarser grains, while the affluent enjoyed the luxury of finer white wheat loaves. As food preservation was crucial, without modern preservatives, ingenuity flourished to combat bread aging and staleness, leading to the creation of the humble trencher, a flatbread doubling as an edible plate, showcasing a never-waste approach. Grains sustained not only humans, but also their livestock, intertwining farming life with survival. While festival days offered rare culinary escapes, most meals were predictable due to the cyclical seasons. Grains ensured that everyone toiled with purpose, with every chew symbolizing fortitude for another day. Survival in medieval times required maximizing every available resource, with produce largely dictated by the season, and kitchens filled with locally foraged or cultivated ingredients like cabbages, turnips, garlic, and leeks. Wild herbs such as nettles and dandelions were gathered with meticulous care, and intricate preservation techniques like pickling, fermenting into sauerkraut, and drying extended the life of vegetables into harsher months. Brewing methods were passed down as sacred traditions, a testament to their resilience and adaptability. Ale, a beverage enjoyed by workers and nobility alike, was more than just a drink. It was essential sustenance. In a time when contaminated water posed constant dangers, the low alcohol content of ale provided a safer and more nourishing alternative. Brewing was predominantly carried out by women, ranging from domestic tasks to small-scale commercial ventures. Unlike modern leisure options, owls not only quenched thirst but also provided nutrition, often paired with bread to create a simple yet vital meal. The brewing process inadvertently helped eliminate risks associated with waterborne diseases, as boiling acted as a basic form of purification. In contrast to the abundance of grains and vegetables, meat was a luxury enjoyed mostly by the affluent or reserved for special occasions. Hunting was a highly prized skill, closely guarded by the nobility, with severe penalties for poaching. Despite the risks, some less fortunate individuals would venture into the wild to secure precious protein. For coastal communities, fishing provided a more accessible food source, with the knowledge of the seas and rivers yielding a reliable catch that could be preserved through salting or smoking. Fish became a dietary staple during times of religious fasting when meat consumption was restricted. Medieval life was a constant struggle against spoilage, as refrigeration was non-existent. Preservation techniques such as salting, pickling, and smoking were essential survival skills, transforming decay into controlled conservation. The pursuit of flavor was a luxury associated with social status, with spices like saffron and cinnamon signaling sophistication. Spices were a symbol of distant lands and trade alliances, adding depth to meals beyond taste. While the wealthy could afford such luxuries, common people often flavored their dishes with homegrown herbs like thyme and parsley. Food played a central role in social gatherings, bringing communities together through communal feasts and religious ceremonies. Celebrations were marked by abundance, showcasing contributions from individuals in a symphony of sustenance. Weddings, harvest festivals, and religious events temporarily blurred social distinctions, with nobles hosting elaborate feasts to display their wealth and generosity. Mealtimes followed the rhythms of faith, alternating between indulgence and restraint. Monasteries played a crucial role in stewarding these traditions. Agricultural production and ecclesiastic schedules were intertwined in medieval life, blending spiritual observances with daily practices. Despite the practicality of this lifestyle, culinary creativity flourished without modern restrictions. The medieval cuisine featured surprises such as roasted peacocks, extravagantly adorned as centerpieces for lavish banquets, and exotic confections made from distant spices mixed with familiar ingredients. Every edible item, no matter how humble or unusual, was utilized, evident in dishes made from offal or pies adorned with rose petals. The medieval diet showcased resilience, adaptability, and innovation, turning scarcity into abundance through creativity and shared knowledge. Each meal told a story of endurance and tradition, reflecting the resilience and community spirit of the time. In the Middle Ages, diseases struck without warning, with symptoms that were mysterious and frightening. Without an understanding of germs or viruses, medieval people attributed illnesses to divine punishment or curses. High fevers, strange swellings, and severe coughs spread fear throughout communities, leading to tales spun to explain the unexplained. The pervasive belief was that diseases were caused by divine wrath or malevolent forces, instilling a sense of dread in everyday life. The medieval cities were filled with foul-smelling streets, emanating from open sewers and crowded living conditions. People believed that foul smells carried diseases, prompting them to seek out fresh air and use fragrant herbs like lavender for protection. Although these measures were not scientifically effective, they reveal a primitive understanding of the dangers associated with smells and air quality in a time of limited knowledge. During outbreaks of diseases, medieval communities practiced quarantine as a method of isolation to prevent the spread of illness. The term quarantine originated from the Italian word quaranti, referring to the 40 days ships would spend offshore when suspected of carrying diseases. This communal vigilance reflected an instinctive need for survival, leading to the separation of families and the halt of trade to protect populations. The iconic image of the plague doctor, dressed in a cloak and a beak-like mask, symbolizes the eerie and foreboding atmosphere of the era. Fragrant herbs were used to protect against unseen threats. These figures have become symbols of a desperate attempt to fight disease by blending medieval medicine with symbolism and magic. Although the masks did not provide real protection, they represented hope and served as charms against the terror affecting communities. Plague doctors who courageously faced feared horrors became reassuring symbols of resistance against relentless foes. In the medieval era, apothecaries offered remedies derived from nature's bounty. Herbs like rosemary, sage, and garlic were valued not only for cooking, but also for their medicinal properties in combating illnesses. Healers, following traditions passed down through generations, concocted potions and brews believed to harness the healing powers of plants. This delicate dance with nature, despite its primitive origins, demonstrated a remarkable adaptation where survival required both knowledge and a willingness to innovate. If herbal remedies failed, people turned to mysticism for protection. The distinction between medicine and magic blurred during this period, as individuals sought to use talismans and amulets to ward off diseases. These charms, whether simple or elaborate, acted as tangible defenses for those navigating the challenges of medieval life. Though their efficacy was questionable, they provided comfort and a sense of control amidst chaos, reflecting a time when the supernatural was as integral to daily life as food and water. The Black Death had a lasting impact on Europe, transforming how societies dealt with diseases and death. This devastating plague led to changes in burial customs and rituals related to mortality. Communities adapted by modifying traditions to suit their grim new reality. As communal survival became paramount, shared suffering fostered collective resilience through processions and acts of penance aimed at averting divine wrath. These responses underscored the adaptability of the era and the human capacity to find strength in collective hardship. Amid the epidemic upheavals, religious faith remained a steadfast anchor. Churches served as havens for the sick and places where fervent prayers were offered. Clergy, believed to have a direct connection to divine intervention, played crucial roles during health crises. The faithful clung to the belief that illnesses held significance within God's plan, providing solace and meaning amid chaos. Religion acted as a balm for the soul, uniting communities through shared rituals and hope, offering a beacon in the darkness of disease. Medieval medicine encompassed a diverse range of practitioners, from university-educated physicians to village healers wielding traditional knowledge. Various individuals practiced their trades during the era, showcasing a wide range of medical practices that reflected the diversity of the societies they belonged to. Whether it was a knowledgeable physician using leeches to balance humors, or a local healer creating herbal potions, this diversity fostered a rich landscape of medical ideas, even if their effectiveness may not meet modern standards. Among the genuine healers, there were also charlatans who preyed on fear with false cures and questionable elixirs. Despite the limitations, medieval disease prevention methods demonstrate remarkable resilience and adaptability. Practices such as quarantine and the solace provided by spiritual beliefs continue to resonate through time, highlighting humanity's enduring perseverance in the face of daunting challenges. The resourcefulness and determination of those who survived offer a perspective to appreciate the progress made in the field of medicine since then. In a world grappling with the unknown, these stories serve as a testament to the strength of hope and resilience. In the dim and smoky atmosphere of medieval taverns, where the clinking of mugs conveyed more than words, laughter acted as a silent protest against the hardships of life. It bridged social gaps as jesters and minstrels roamed the land, using humor to critique the nobility and satirize the absurdities of feudal society. Through their wit, they provided a brief moment of relief for the oppressed, offering a subtle lift in spirits in a world devoid of such luxuries. Even in villages overshadowed by death and diseases, a type of dark humor rooted in folktales emerged, confronting mortality with a cheeky acceptance. This shared acknowledgement of life's brevity created bonds among communities, suggesting that facing life's end with humor could defy inevitability. Laughter was not just an escape, it was a declaration of defiance, carving out pockets of joy in a bleak landscape of despair. In this world, music served a purpose beyond mere entertainment. It became integral to storytelling, infusing emotional expression into the social tapestry. Fields resonated with communal songs that synchronized labor and offered solace against the exhausting work. As villagers toiled, their songs fostered a sense of unity and purpose, connecting isolated communities through harmonious threads. Music transcended the fields to enrich life-significant moments, from birth to funerals. Monks chanted spiritual truths in monastery walls, while troubadours spread news through lyrical narratives. Music functioned as both education and escapism, created a space where people in medieval times could find relief from life's challenges through ethereal soundscapes. Songs served as a means of education and temporary escape from physical suffering for those who relied on word-of-mouth communication. Folktales reflected the medieval mindset by blending fantastical elements with societal truths, offering a break from everyday struggles in settings like flickering firelight or bustling taverns. These stories depicted heroes conquering otherworldly obstacles, paralleling listeners' real-life battles through allegory, and exploring themes of morality, justice, and folly. Cautionary tales cautioned against human excesses, while transformation narratives promised hope and redemption. Carnivals and festivals provided opportunities for sanctioned chaos, where societal norms were upended, and peasants could partake in regal masquerades, bringing camaraderie and catharsis to their otherwise challenging lives. The festivities, filled with dance, theatrical performances, feasting, and revelry, offered a brief escape from daily hardships, celebrating life in all its complexities. Jesters and fools, hidden beneath colorful masks, critiqued even kings with sharp wit, blurring the lines between folly and wisdom, and encouraging self-awareness through humor. Dance, in its various forms, offered liberation from societal constraints, from simple round dances under the starlit sky to elaborate courtly displays. Movement allowed medieval people to transcend their limitations, whether in worship or celebration, expressing themselves beyond words and leaving lasting impressions on collective memory. Storytelling, a cornerstone of medieval oral traditions, preserved cultural heritage and values, bridging the gap between past and present through epic sagas, origin stories, and legends. These narratives helped communities reinforce their identities, share knowledge, and foster a strong collective bond. The act of drinking brought people together with a genuine joy that always seemed ready to overflow into laughter. It not only satisfied thirst, but also reignited connections, turning taverns into spaces of relaxation. As intoxication set in, social barriers softened and human bonds strengthened. Gathering around shared tables broke down societal hierarchies, allowing for unrestrained joy and camaraderie. Despite the challenges of the world, medieval festivities affirmed the value of life through merriment. Celebrations filled with games and feasts linked agricultural and religious calendars, marking time with joyful celebrations of life and unity. These gatherings celebrated survival, going beyond mere existence through shared happiness. By laughing and singing together, medieval people found the strength and resilience to face a new day, turning difficulties into a tapestry woven with moments of unexpected light. Imagine living in a time where every shadow seemed to conceal a lurking demon, and any sudden discomfort could be a disguised curse. This was the medieval era, a world of faith and superstition, where fear and hope mingled in equal measure. People of that time held on to their beliefs like a castaway clutching a lifeline. Faith was not just a set of rules and doctrines, but the lens through which they viewed the world. Amidst plagues and wars, faith was their guiding light, a melody that calmed their restless spirits and connected their days with invisible threads. The beauty of faith lay in its diverse presence, from grand cathedrals adorned with stained glass to humble village churches where communal prayers echoed off wooden beams. Sundays were more than just a break from labor. They were communal pulses, a chance to realign their moral compass in a turbulent world. Pilgrimages promised healing and miracles, while relics believed to emanate divine power connected individuals to a sacred story that gave meaning to suffering, all woven into a celestial tapestry beyond human understanding. The church itself was the golden thread in the fabric of medieval life, providing spiritual guidance as well as serving as a powerful administrative and economic entity. With vast land holdings, the church held influence that reached every aspect of life. Parish bells rang out across fields, marking the milestones of life from births to farewells. Through sacraments and rituals like baptisms, marriages, and last rites, the church established a sacred rhythm to life. guiding people through important moments and setting societal norms based on divine justice and order. Embarking on a pilgrimage was a journey of the heart and soul, a challenging trek along dangerous paths where saints whispered of healing and miracles. These paths were a journey towards, not only for personal devotion, but also for communal unity. The medieval society was a melting pot, where nobles mingled with peasants, merchants, and monks, all united by a common holy purpose. Along the pilgrimage routes, stories and ideas were shared as eagerly as goods, with travelers seeking refuge in monasteries that provided shelter from the elements and bandits. These journeys, fraught with dangers yet rich in spiritual significance, transformed travel into a sacred offering. In the mystical era, saints were revered as celestial mediators, who continued to protect even after their earthly lives had ended. The faithful embraced tales of saintly visions and interventions, finding solace and inspiration in each story. Relics, bones, garments, and holy artifacts were not merely remnants of the sacred but conduits to the divine. Monasteries safeguarded these treasures, attracting pilgrims in search of healing and comfort. A mere touch of a relic was considered a brush with the divine, reaffirming the potential of faith to enrich mortal life with eternal promise. Amidst this reverence, a secluded life was led within the silence of monasteries, where monks and nuns dedicated themselves to prayer, work, and study. These monastic sanctuaries exuded simplicity and devotion, with their walls housing knowledge and libraries, and their fields and workshops providing sustenance. To the outside world, monasteries served as beacons of assistance for travelers, care for the sick, and charity for the poor, standing as bastions of faith and resilience in turbulent times. However, medieval faith was not without internal discord. Beneath the surface, deep theological divisions and conflicts between orthodoxy and heresy simmered, erupting in councils and public debates. Those deviating from accepted beliefs faced ridicule and persecution, challenging the Church's claim to unity. Heresy trials conducted by the Inquisition were harsh measures to eliminate doctrinal dissent and solidify Church authority. Yet amidst these conflicts, debates on faith sharpened, refining the very principles they aimed to uphold. The Virgin Mary emerged as a nurturing figure, bridging the gap between the divine and human. Her veneration transcending societal barriers and offering comfort and hope to those seeking solace from life's hardships. Mary and devotion were intertwined in art and music, providing solace and reinforcing ideas on womanhood and compassion. In the medieval worldview, life was viewed as a preparation for eternity, with the promise of heaven and the threat of hell guiding behaviors and beliefs. Heaven symbolized eternal happiness, while hell, depicted in vivid sermons, reminded believers of the consequences of sin. The sale of indulgences underscored the relationship between grace and ecclesiastical power, offering a tangible reprieve from the looming punishments of damnation. Life was perceived as an ongoing performance, with actions resonating in the grand moral drama of celestial progress. Amid this structured belief system, mysticism presented a pathway to personal spiritual insights have been sought by visionaries throughout history. Figures like Hildegard of Bingen pursued direct communion with the divine, valuing inner revelation over rigid dogma. These mystical experiences democratized faith, suggesting a path open to all who sought a deeper connection with the divine. During the Middle Ages, faith served as a cornerstone of resilience, shaping a narrative of sanctified purpose in all circumstances. It was interwoven into daily life in majestic cathedrals, upheld by whispered prayers and sacred songs. Even today, the legacy of this era serves as a reminder of humanity's pursuit of connection with the divine and the eternal. Just as the faithful of the past held on to their beliefs as a lifeline, this chapter encourages reflection on how ancient convictions continue to inspire resilience and hope, highlighting the enduring human quest for meaning amidst chaos. In the shadowy intricacies of medieval life, survival often depended on the skill of knowing when to disappear from view. The land was fraught with dangers, from marauding armies to unpredictable lords whose whims could bring doom. For many villagers, the decision to flee was not an act of cowardice, but a strategic move. Signs such as approaching darkness, shifts in the wind, or an unusual quiet on busy roads served as cues to gather belongings and slip away into the unknown. Departures were not impulsive actions, but the severing of ties with the familiar, yet they often proved essential for survival. Traveling through the perilous roads of the Middle Ages was akin to reading an adventure book filled with sweat and fear. Bandits lurked, rocks littered the paths, yet those who knew the land best navigated its hidden secrets with ease. Escaping danger meant not just fleeing, but also transplanting a community's essence to new soil, requiring bravery and adaptability to new surroundings and threats. Each decision to flee reflected generations of endurance and resourcefulness. While some chose to flee, others opted to blend into the background, mastering the art of invisibility within plain sight, especially for those deemed outsiders like Jews or heretics. Assimilating into village life required fluency in local dialects, adopting customs, and sometimes even changing names. Survival strategies included leading double lives and adapting to blend in seamlessly, showcasing remarkable adaptability and resilience in the face of adversity. They embedded themselves within the fabric of communities as ordinary individuals with a mysterious past. The weaver acted as the village prophet or the purveyor of secrets. These were unassuming heroes of hidden survival, expertly skilled in the delicate dance of trust and distrust within society. The essence of survival also held a hint of silent rebellion. Some did not fade into the background or escape to the horizon. Instead, they chose to stand firm and unite their voices in quiet harmony. Rebellions were sparked from simple conversations in taverns or clandestine gatherings under the moonlight. These were not wild fantasies of revolution, but carefully orchestrated movements led by individuals who, with remarkable composure, turned fervor into purpose. The peasants' revolt, like that of Tyler, exemplifies how common people, though lacking in resources, found strength in unity. Their desire for justice amplified their whispers into a resounding roar. Resistance was not limited to armed conflict. It took on various forms such as passive deception, refusal to obey unjust laws, or undermining oppressive labor practices. These actions, though risky, represented a subtle form of rebellion, suggesting that unity and quiet defiance were the antidotes to oppression. Meanwhile, during medieval times, there were sanctuaries for those in need, hidden valleys and dense forests, which not only provided shelter, but also became thriving communities of their own. Sherwood Forest, immortalized in tales of Robin Hood, symbolizes the many untamed havens where those fleeing injustice found refuge and established self-governing communities amidst the rustling leaves. These communities were not lawless outcasts, but vibrant societies skilled in living off the land, mastering the art of survival in nature. The image of the medieval bandit, both revered and feared, blurred the line between survival and rebellion. Figures like Robin Hood became the stuff of legend, embodying the idea of marginalized individuals turning to banditry as a final resort against fate's injustices. They were not mere criminals, but rather folk heroes shaped by and in opposition to the challenges of their era. Symbols of defiance, they served as a reminder that power and justice transcended official decrees and dungeons. Adhering to their own moral codes, these covert sheriffs enforced a form of justice and autonomy, garnering secret support as they balanced on the edge between order and resistance. Alongside these exploits were underground networks, medieval lifelines pulsing with danger and resilience. Trade connections intertwined seamlessly with rebellious movements, weaving together urban centers, villages, and often rival kingdoms. When words failed, secret codes hidden in letters, subtle signals, and trusted messengers bridged gaps, defying authorities and carving paths through darkness and stone. These covert acts of defiance stretched across the land, offering support to those seeking freedom, religious tolerance, or simply survival, relying on a network of trust and solidarity. Relying heavily on faith, ingenuity, and the courage that bound them together, secret societies thrived in defiance under medieval oppression, sometimes disguised as harmless guilds or devout circles. Within their secretive walls, they plotted subversion and sought sanctuary, with membership being a perilous privilege that offered a sense of community while also risking punishment such as hanging or burning if discovered. These enclaves, much like ancient oaths, safeguarded knowledge when it was under threat. Despite the constant danger faced by alchemical societies and mystical orders, they continued to pass down their secrets, serving as a testament to resilience and an unwavering desire for a different world. During a time when merely holding certain beliefs could lead to death by fire, one's resolve became a crucible for courage. Heretics carried the relics of truth, reshaping cultural narratives even as their ashes had barely cooled. Figures like Joan of Arc exemplified the paradox where convictions could either spark revolutions or posthumously clothe martyrs in saintly reverence. These martyrs embodied a persistent struggle between enslavement and liberation. Women, often overlooked in history, played crucial roles in the resistance movements of the time. They acted as spies, revolutionary midwives, and bearers of forbidden truths. Influential figures like Hildegard of Bingen influenced cultural shifts through philosophical and spiritual channels. Women reshaped the lineage of resistance both within households and beyond, weaving a narrative of resilience and defiance that echoed through the ages. Through the shadows of history, the threads of medieval survival whispered ancient wisdom, strengthening the resolve with the determination of ancestors who, in the face of insurmountable odds, chose perseverance over defeat. In the intricate tapestry of medieval life, power was not always as it appeared. Women, weaving their influence into society, found unique strength through midwifery, serving as lifelines during childbirth and mentors in health and herbal remedies. Midwives held an unrecognized authority that allowed women to transcend traditional roles, wielding a power that was essential yet cautiously respected. Peasants, often overlooked in the grand scheme of medieval society, occasionally rose up in fiery revolts against oppressive taxes and tyrannical landowners. These uprisings were expressions of dissent, reflecting a simmering anger that disrupted established hierarchies. While many of these revolts met brutal ends, they served as a reminder of the resilience and determination of those who dared to challenge the status quo. They shook the foundations enough to demand consideration. Peasant voices, usually drowned in the grind of their labors, found power in unity, forcing even the most entrenched lords to occasionally heed demands for a fairer existence. Amid these chaotic elements, some within the church itself dared to confront its own entrenched corruption. Reformists like John Wycliffe and Jan Hus challenged the church's excesses, driven by a moral compass rather than ecclesiastical power. Their defiance sprouted from profound inner conviction. Yet this ecclesiastical rebellion came with peril, persecution, excommunication, or worse. Despite these risks, their clarion calls laid the groundwork for future reformations. Their voices echoing through time showed that dissent could root itself deep within the institution it aimed to transform, fostering change where none had seemed possible. In the quiet halls of scriptoriums, scribes found power in preservation. Their laborious task of copying texts became a subtle form of defiance against censorship's heavy hand. By preserving forbidden or controversial works, scribes wielded a quiet but steadfast authority over the narrative of history. Their every inked stroke echoed with the potent understanding that knowledge is power. Through these clandestine acts of preservation, they ensured that the essence of ideas and curiosity survived beyond oppressive eras, wrapped in the musty parchment of survival. On the cobbled streets and cluttered stalls of medieval markets, the poor showcased their own brand of ingenuity. Faced with bare subsistence, they turned adversity into art, crafting tools from scraps and clothes from cast-offs. Their homes evolved with the seasons, a humble yet ingenious adaptation ensuring comfort against the elements. This everyday alchemy was born not of choice but of necessity. Through communal wisdom and oral tradition, they maximized their meager resources, embodying untold strength, a silent revolution of creativity birthed from harsh constraint. Away from the din of battlefields, women engaged in their own warfare, navigating the complex chessboard of marriage and estate management. Whether through negotiating critical alliances or bargaining in bustling markets, women wielded quiet influence that rippled through social and political landscapes. Figures like Eleanor of Aquitaine made indelible marks on European power dynamics, illustrating how indirect influence was profoundly significant. In these strategic maneuverings, women turned societal confinements into avenues of power, skillfully ensuring their family's survival in a turbulent world. The silent enclaves of monasteries and convents held their own sway over the medieval world. These sanctuaries were cradles of learning and guardians of wisdom, preserving ancient texts with unwavering dedication. Within these walls, monks and nuns quietly advanced education and healthcare, seeding transformative ideas into society. Gender norms. In the havens of religious enclaves, women were sometimes able to take on administrative and educational roles that challenged societal norms. These cloistered spaces fostered cultural and intellectual shifts, bridging gaps during turbulent times. Craftsmen, amidst the noise of hammers and bellows, held authority based on skill rather than lineage. Their creations were essential to medieval infrastructure, contributing significantly to their communities. Through guilds, artisans found a collective voice and improved working conditions, turning individual talents into a source of collective strength. Folklore, passed down through generations in stories of bravery and cleverness, contained hidden critiques of authority and messages of resilience. Minstrels, chroniclers, and poets captured human experiences in their songs and writings, preserving histories beyond official records. Music, poetry, and prose served as vessels of continuity, connecting society through shared narratives. In the Middle Ages, death was a constant presence, shaping everyday life. Families and communities faced mortality together, turning grief into a communal experience through shared ceremonies. Mourning was not a private affair, but a public expression of sorrow, providing solace and strength through collective bonds. These rituals brought order to the chaos of death, creating predictable stages of mourning to help navigate loss. Loved ones gathered to share personal stories and anecdotes that would ensure the deceased's memory lived on. The air was filled with whispers of old tales and budding nostalgia as the community united to cope with the loss. The vigil transitioned into a procession towards the church, a solemn and unifying event. Church bells tolled mournfully, reminding everyone of life's fleeting nature as villagers paused their daily tasks to join the march. The funeral mass, delivered in Latin, may have been unfamiliar to many, but its familiar melodies and fragrant incense provided comfort and stability in uncertain times. From whispered prayers to the sound of coins being donated, these rituals transformed grief into a shared experience, strengthening faith and community bonds. Offerings became tangible symbols of remembrance within the elaborate rituals, connecting the living with the departed. Objects of significance placed with the deceased, such as talismans, heirloom jewelry, or religious texts, helped maintain the connection between the two worlds. This practice extended beyond funerals to daily life, where masses were dedicated and donations made in honor of the deceased, ensuring their memory lived on in the community's consciousness. Pilgrimages were another way to remember the departed, combining grief and spiritual exploration in a physical journey to sacred sites for healing and reflection. Travelers bonded over shared losses and prayers for the departed souls as they navigated landscapes together. These journeys were symbolic of the yearning for solace and redemption for both the living and the deceased. Folkloric narratives and superstitions added depth to medieval mourning practices, weaving rich cultural traditions into the grieving process. While religious beliefs played a central role, stories of spectral beings and otherworldly guardians helped communities make sense of death's mysteries. These tales intrigued and comforted, providing a framework for understanding loss. The church, a cornerstone of medieval society, not only offered spiritual guidance, but also anchored the theological aspects of death rituals. Priests guided families through funeral rites, translating personal grief into structured faith-based practices. These rituals, along with the intercession of saints, aimed to ease the mourning process. The deceased's journey to the afterlife was sanctified by rituals, while memories and legacies were preserved in monasteries through tombs. Recording each name was a defiance against the erasure of time. Seasonal rites evolved into communal ceremonies aligning with ecclesiastical milestones. Events like All Saints and All Souls Day prompted collective reflection on mortality. Bonfires and processions engaged the senses, uniting villages in remembrance and celebration of ancestral bonds. These sensory rituals, with shared fires and communal meals, imbued life with enduring significance, reinforcing solidarity throughout the seasons. Art also played a significant role, with iconography enriching public and private spaces with symbolic meaning. From stone effigies to colorful manuscripts, art provided comfort and told stories of life, death, and eternal salvation. Grave inscriptions and plaques preserved these narratives, documenting lives and virtues as a dialogue between the living and the legacy of the departed. Symbols like hourglasses and skulls served as visual reminders of life's brevity, echoing the concept of memento mori in the collective consciousness. Through storytelling, grief found new ways of expression, as medieval villages gathered around the hearth to honor the dead and weave them into communal memory. These narratives offered solace, connecting personal grief to the broader human experience and resilience. Wisdom was passed down through generations by widows and elders, ensuring continuity beyond individual lifetimes. Ultimately, medieval rituals affirmed a commitment to renewal in the face of life's challenges, transforming personal and communal pain into acts of remembrance that inspired resilience and introspection. Despite facing the grim realities of conquest, famine, and disease, medieval villagers refused to surrender, clinging fiercely to life's fragile thread. Stories of survival emerged after each calamity, with communities rebuilding, adapting, and strengthening bonds in the face of adversity. Understanding the fleeting nature of life's preciousness, they marked time through the changing seasons, reflecting their resilience and determination. The people tested their limits by demanding endurance and rationing their dwindling supplies. When spring arrived, it brought renewal, allowing them to plant seeds and dream of abundance. Their existence was a delicate balance with nature, but within this dance, they found a routine that offered hope even in the most challenging of times. They understood life and death as a continuous cycle, teaching them that after every harsh winter, a hopeful rebirth awaited. Community was their lifeline through this cycle of life. Towns and villages were tightly woven into social fabrics where resources and responsibilities intertwined. The saying, "It takes a village," echoed through their survival stories, emphasizing the importance of unity in times of crisis. Neighbors shared what little they had, supported the sick, and banded together to defend against threats, making survival a collective triumph. Faith served as a beacon of hope amidst life's hardships, offering solace and guidance through the promise of heaven. The church, with its cathedrals and chapels, was the center of moral and practical decisions, inspiring compassion and resilience in the face of challenges. Art and creativity provided another source of solace. Despite adversities, the era was rich in creative expression, with stories told by fires, music in village squares, and tapestries depicting legends. Artistic endeavors brightened daily life, fostering connections and reflecting both challenges and hopes. Reflecting on life's impermanence through memento mori was not a cause for despair, but rather an appreciation for the present. It encouraged purposeful living and strengthened community bonds, celebrating life's fleeting joys through feasts and affirmations of life's vibrancy. Innovation flourished out of necessity, leading to creative advancements in agriculture and architecture. The heavy plow revolutionized agriculture, enabling lands to yield sustenance and adapt to changing circumstances. The rotation of crops helped maintain fertility and fight hunger. Windmills used the power of the wind to grind grains, allowing people to save time and energy. Castles were built as strong defenses, combining functionality with artistry. Guilds and markets grew, shaping social structures and governance through town charters. Innovation was crucial for survival and showcased humanity's resilience, relying on intellect and adaptability. Rituals provided structure in uncertain times, adding meaning to everyday life. Ceremonies like liturgies, feast days, weddings, and funerals marked important life events, offering stability and connection across generations. These traditions strengthened community bonds and instilled resilience through shared beliefs. The medieval era was marked by adaptability, with each change reflecting a deep understanding that rigidity leads to downfall. Migration for resources, evolving governance, and embracing new ideas expanded medieval horizons and enriched lives. This period serves as a timeless reminder that adaptability is key to enduring challenges. Despite hardships, medieval communities rebuilt and thrived, showing resilience beyond boundaries of faith and social class. Their ability to find joy in adversity highlighted the beauty of overcoming obstacles. No matter the challenges faced, the flame of hope burned brightly, fueled by a belief in a better tomorrow.